You all asked for Mr. Wolfe from the bad guys, and honestly, I've never been more intimidated in my life when it came to drawing a character. I don't draw a whole ton of furry or anthro-type characters, but when I do, they're definitely not wolves, as I don't think I do well with large snouts. That said, I did it anyway. So here's Mr. Wolfe, the suave mastermind behind the bad guys and their thieving attempts. The film seems to be extremely well liked by the furry community, as one fursuit maker has commented, and I quote, "The fandom is going wild for it right now. I personally haven't seen the movie yet, so I can't comment much on the plot, but from the trailers I've seen, it looks good. And I'm really into the art style direction that DreamWorks went with. So are you all a simp for Mr. Wolfe? Who should I draw next?" Since I did Mr. Wolfe from the bad guys, I figured I'd try to draw Diane Foxington, as she was requested a lot by you all. And I feel like I started strong with my initial sketch and then my inking, but I might have missed the mark when I colored it in. Her fur seems like a light or muted sort of orange, and the only orange colors that I had were super strong and vibrant. And in the end, I'm not so sure I nailed this one. She also kind of gives me Five Nights at Freddy's vibes. Oh, big question. Why is everybody human except for our main characters? Again, I haven't watched the movie, nor have I read the books that it's based off of, so I'm sure that might have some much needed info for me about this, but I find it kind of strange that this isn't a Zootopia kind of thing where all characters are some sort of animal. Are the animal characters supposed to be a metaphor? So why did DreamWorks change the gender of Legs the tarantula from the bad guys? Apparently Legs is the original name of this character from the books, and he's also referred to as Mr. Tarantula. But when DreamWorks decided to turn the books into a movie, I guess they wanted to change a few things up. I personally don't have an issue with it. In fact, I sort of find these gender bent things kind of fun. I've never read the books though, so I can't compare it to the original tarantula, but I love her big lashes and eyes and the fun outfits she has, like the hoodie and the oversized DJ looking headphones, which was why I chose that specific look when I decided to draw her. I'm also a fan of Awkwafina's interesting raspy sort of voice, and I feel like it's a pretty good fit for this character. So, who should I draw next? Mr. Snake from the bad guys is up next, and I'm definitely noticing a trend with these names. Mr. Wolfe, Mr. Tarantula, Mr. Shark. So far, I've just been kind of accepting these names as they are, but now I'm starting to wonder if they're actually code names. Of course, as I've said before on all my past bad guys drawings, I haven't quite seen the movie just yet, nor read the books, so something tells me that the movie or the books answer this. Although I have read Miss Tarantula's real name is Legs, so I feel like that's probably the biggest dead giveaway that they actually have real names. But I think what threw me off is that since everyone is mostly human in the movie, I just figured the whole Mr. Wolfe, Mr. Shark, and Mr. Snake thing were their names because maybe the whole animal thing for our protagonist is a metaphor. In fact, I'm gonna discuss the metaphor idea in my next bad guys drawing. Police Chief Misty Luggins is one of many human characters from the bad guys, which makes me think, are the animals a metaphor? Because we have a wolf, a tarantula, a piranha, a snake, and a shark. All these types of animals are kind of threatening, and some of them, such as the wolf and the snake, are often associated as being the villains from popular old children's stories, like the wolf from Little Red Riding Hood or the snake from the Jungle Book. It's sort of like typecasting. If one is a wolf, then they're probably evil and will always be evil. It's what society expects when they see a wolf-type character, and oftentimes these characters fulfill that role because of society seeing them as nothing more than that. Which makes me wonder if the animals are just meant to better represent our protagonist characters, and perhaps they could be actual humans like everyone else. DreamWorks made a lot of changes when it came to the Bad Guys movie versus the books that the film is based off of. The biggest changes being the inclusion of tons of humans in the movie, despite everyone in the books being animals, and the tarantula who was originally male turned into a female. I'm sure there's tons more other changes, but I gotta say the one I'm forever grateful for is Professor Marmalade's name change. Mostly because I don't know how to pronounce it, but you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot. Kadig, Florig, Coin, Werug, Glare, Wifhek, Lewolf, Zwal. And I wish I was joking, but I'm not. Now, did I say it right? Absolutely not. Am I gonna say it again? No way. Not when there's a perfectly good name like Professor Marmalade that I can use. So, thanks DreamWorks. And who should I draw next? Is Mr. Shark from the Bad Guys actually the same shark from the movie Jaws? You all know I love to discuss good fan theories related to film, and when I read this one, it kind of seemed ridiculous. I mean, especially when we know the overall idea of the movie is about these bad guys trying to prove that maybe they can be more than just bad guys. But coming to the conclusion that Mr. Shark was the same shark from Jaws? I figured these bad guys committed petty crimes, not straight up murder. So of course a part of me wants to dismiss this fan theory theory as ridiculousness, because let's be honest, it kind of is. Except, apparently, it's not too far from supposed canon, as based on his case report, Mr. Shark may actually, in fact, be the shark from Jaws. Is it just me, or does Mr. Piranha from The Bad Guy seem a little out of place? Maybe I'm thinking a bit too into this, but it's really just an observation I made when looking at all the characters. Mr. Wolfe, Mr. Shark, Mr. Snake, and Miss Tarantula all sort of fit into the common villain idea. For instance, Mr. Shark being like the shark from Jaws, Mr. Snake like the snake from the Jungle Book, Mr. Wolfe the most obvious, like from Red Riding Hood. But when it comes to Mr. Piranha, there's no exact villain from any other popular show or movie or kids book that I can really think of. I mean, piranhas are sometimes seen in media as nasty little fish that will eat you, but I feel like they've never quite been seen as a main big bad villain the way that the others have. So who should I draw next?